All right, shalom. First and foremost, I got to give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh. And I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world calls Christ, Yahweh Shai. It's your brother, Chief Priest, Al-Azar, lawyer, a.k.a. the Gorilla Heat Brew, hitting y'all with Issa GUERRILLA episode 10. Before we get into it, the fan. I moved it. Definitely still in need of it. It's definitely, what's the temperature right now? Let me see, what's the temperature? Hold on. 73, so about 4 degrees cooler than it was in my last episode, but still pretty hot and humid around here. So I still got the fans cracking, but I moved it so it's a little further away from the microphone. So I hope it's picking up less. I know it really don't affect it too much, but it kind of get a little bit annoying to me, so I know I'm not alone. But thank everybody who, tunes in and tunes it out anyway and rocks with me, man. I appreciate it. It's episode 10 though, man, and it's one of my 2 days in between from episode 9. Yeah, about 2 days removed, the RBG Hebrews episode. And sometimes I do this while I, kind of double up in a week, and these things kind of sporadic. It's not on the schedule. I know there was a few weeks I didn't drop an episode due to me transitioning and moving out here to Texas and whatnot. So I'm gonna do it as I'm compelled by the Holy Spirit. I'm gonna tell you that, just like I do everything. All right. But yeah. So what the inspiration was? I mean, there's a few things I had been meaning to talk about. And me giving kind of a synopsis and my opinion on a few shows that I watched. Either in the whole series or finish the season of, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I was just watching on YouTube Drink Champs, one of my favorite podcasts out there, Drink Champs, the Joe Budden podcast, Flip the Script and things like that. Those are my favorite podcasts that I listen to. And I was watching the Drink Champs. They just dropped the episode with Pras. Okay, some of y'all may not know who Pras is. Pras is the third member of the Fugees. Wyclef and Lauren are certainly more household names, but Pras low key was the brains behind that operation, and has definitely got a lot of contributions. But he kind of exited out of music. He kind of exited out of music early, and he's done his thing in activism and politics and philanthropy and acting and things of that nature. The brother's done a lot, so he's definitely somebody on a secular or a worldly aspect I hold to a high esteem in that regard. And I just watched this episode. It was a really great episode, one of my favorite episodes. They got some classics on there. The 50 episode, the Jim Jones episode, the Biggs episode, and this episode is definitely up there, top 5 or 10 of all the Drink Champs. And I don't know what number they at. I want to see. Let me look real quick because they deep. Drink Champs. They got a lot. And for those of y'all that don't know what Drink Champs is, it's the podcast hosted by our beloved brother Noriega. Or Nori, and his DJ EFN. Where's the number at? Hold on. I want to say, because it's not telling me the number. It's just saying Pride. Let me take a look. What's the damn number? Alright, hold on. I know how to find out. Let me just open up iTunes. iTunes is going to tell me because I definitely got it subbed on my iTunes. Bear with me. Come on, iTunes. Alright, podcast. Where's the podcast? Drink Champs, boom. 125. So they 125 episodes in, boom. So they got a lot of episodes, but I would say definitely easily is a top 5 or 10. Easily. To me, at least. And there was some special guests, Zoe Dollars, was on there. Young up and coming Haitian artist, recently signed to Future, and there's a Haitian Cuban sister on there named Candice. I'm not familiar with her, but there's another sister. I forget her name. Her name escapes me. She got the blue hair, light skinned Haitian chick with the blue hair. She be on Love and Hip Hop. She signed to CANDID, I believe. She was also on there briefly. So it was cool. It was a real Haitian thing, and in the spirit of Haitian Heritage Month, which we're in with Haitian Flag Day approaching. It's technically Thursday morning now, so Haitian Flag Day literally is in 2 days, May 19th. The biggest day of the year for Haitians. It was powerful, and this was the right time for them to drop it. Very mindful, very smart, very strategic. I like that. I got some I got some special clothes, special shirts made for Haitian Flag Day by the brother at Hebrew Israelite Clothing Company. Y'all check him out. He's got heat, got the blue and red colorways in spirit of Haitian Flag Day. So that's gonna be powerful. But that's all aside from this. So I'm watching this Pras, and it's taking me back, watching Pras and him talk about different things, and they start talking about how Ghetto Superstar, that song came out, and then it just reminded me on how impactful he and the Fugees were in my life, especially in my childhood, and when a lot of these Fugees songs come on, like the level of endorphins that it releases in my brain are astronomical. It brings me back to envisioning some of the fondest memories that I have in my brain. And, I definitely want to pay homage to them for doing that, in between Ghetto Superstar, which Ghetto Superstar, I mean, it just, when that came out, I want to say either when it came out or maybe within the same year it came out, I just remember how much it was getting played on my block. And I just remember summertime. I remember the sun. I remember all of us just kids out on the block, you know what I mean? And I remember just when it was a simpler time. And it just puts an instant smile on my face. Anytime I hear Ghetto Superstar, anytime I hear How Many MCs, anytime I hear Killing Me Softly, you understand what I'm saying? What's this other one? Not Killing Me Softly. And the thing I love about Killing Me Softly, is so much is the like the string riff they got in it, the little string riff sample they got in it. That's my favorite part of that whole song. It don't even matter about the rest of the song. Just that string riff sample that they got in it is just everything to me, and it puts an instant smile on my face. Ready or Not, I don't even know how. And then it's the Fuji La La La. I mean, all those songs, they just put me in an instant place of happiness. Instantly. You know what I mean? In between, like I said, taking me back to a memory of being a kid on the block, or just taking me. I remember my pops around this time period when it came out. My pops had a 4Runner. This is mid-90s. My pops had a 4Runner, and just riding around in the 4Runner with my pops and my family, and him playing the Fugees, because he, especially Clef, like my pops always championed Wyclef. Because what they did for Haitians and putting on for us in that regard, he always loved Clef. And the fact that Clef was so musically inclined, and my pops also is, he's a musician, a DJ, but also he could play every damn instrument. And Clef can play every instrument, and he was so talented and things like that. So my pops always championed Clef as a young, I remember this as a child. So like just all of those things, they always just, they put me in good spirits. I'll definitely say, just reflecting back on the time period when the Fugees was releasing music, and how it related to me in my life, for certain. So that's something that I definitely just wanted to talk about, because the Fugees' contribution, it's just so crazy. Just knowing that Clef, and I always bring this up to people, Wyclef Jean was the producer and co-writer on literally the biggest record ever, which the biggest record globally ever was Hips Don't Lie, by Shakira, right? Him producing that, y'all remember he came in with the horn, did that, and that was literally the biggest record ever, because you have to think about what it traversed. It literally traversed global culture. A lot of people don't know that Shakira is Lebanese. She's Colombian and Lebanese. I believe her father is Lebanese. So she's bringing the culmination of the Latin culture, Arabic culture. Then here comes Wyclef with the Haitian and, you know, African American, you know, culture, and here you have literally more than half the earth. Only thing you damn near left out was Asia at this point in Europe. Cultures converging and it being presented in the form of one song, and that's why I was so big on a global scale. And you know, Clef did that. You know, it just shows that how blessed we are as a people, as being the Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And it's crazy because a lot of y'all, I mean, Clef has spoke on the Israelites multiple times. I remember it was one song he said, I seen an Israelite standing on a corner and he said, we come from the 12 tribes of Judah. Then, of course, he had an interview with Vlad about Kodak Black and how the first thing Kodak said when he walked into a studio was, we the Israelites of the tribe of Levi, which us so-called Haitians are. And us being musically inclined as a tribe, tribally, is a biblical thing. You know what I'm saying? I wrote a Facebook post earlier. I want to read it. I want to read it briefly. Let me log in. I'm just, and mind y'all, I'm just getting out of Facebook jail. Like, y'all don't know how, I don't know why. I've done other Facebook jail bids before, but for whatever reason, this last 30 days was the roughest for me. But here's the post I wrote on Facebook. I said, watching the brother Praz on Drink Champs right now, and it reminds me on the impact the Fugees music had on my childhood. I'm gonna probably delve into it on my next podcast, Lord willing, which I'm doing now. I'll praise the Most High. I said they had amazing music though, for real, right? Then I quoted a scripture dealing with the historical account of an event that happened when we were still in our land of Israel before our expulsion to Africa and, you know, ultimately becoming victims of the transatlantic slave trade pursuant to the curses that were put upon us, right? So this is 2 Chronicles 5:12. And it said also the Levites, who are so-called Haitians, who we are now, and other peoples also, certain other peoples of the French West Indies and, you know, Louisiana, and certain other Afro-Cubans, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Argentines, and things like that, right? Also the Levites, which were the singers of all them, Asaph and of Heman, of Jeduthun, with their sons and their brethren, a bunch of Haitians here, so-called Haitians, who would become Haitians, being arrayed in white linen, with having cymbals and psalteries and harps, so different instruments, stood at the east end of the altar, and with them 120 priests sounding with trumpets, right? So a gang of what would become Haitians with instruments and singing, right? In verse 13. And it came to pass, as the trumpeters and singers were as one, to make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking the Lord. So we all have put our voices together to sing as one, to praise and thank the Most High Yahweh. And it says, and when they lifted up their voice with the trumpets and cymbals and instruments of music, and praised the Lord, saying, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever, that then the house was filled with a cloud, even the house of the Lord, so that the priest could not stand to minister by reason of the cloud, for the glory of the Lord had filled the house of God. So the Most High God was so pleased with the musical ability that he blessed the tribe of Levi with, that when we exercised it, he was so happy that he filled the temple with his glory. That's how musically inclined the tribe of Levi is, and, you know, who we now predominantly known as so-called Haitians. So this is why you see the Fugees see the success that they do. Of course, with the lovely singing of our sister from the tribe of Judah, Lauryn Hill, but as far as the brains behind the operation and the cultivation of the sound, sonically, it's credited to Praz and Wyclef. And, you know, and that's a clearly displaying the tribal characteristics and traits that we have that prove, among a plethora of additional evidence, that prove that we are the Israelites from these various 12 tribes, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Point blank, period. Right? So I wanted to start there, briefly reminiscing with the Fugees and things of that nature. But I want to move on, because there's other stuff to talk about. You got this guy Booker T, right? Booker T. Now, Booker T, the professional wrestler, one of the greatest and most accomplished professional wrestlers, period, of all time. 1. 2, one of the greatest and most accomplished black wrestlers of all time, Period. 2. 3, in my opinion, and in many experts' opinion, are part of the greatest duo to ever step inside a square circle, which is Harlem Heat, he and his brother. Right? That's period. Booker T. One of my all-time favorites. The last true WCW, both world heavyweight and United States champion. Right? Who would later go on to have success in the WWE after WWE bought out WCW. I remember the very first ever WCW World Heavyweight Championship match that was held in a WWE ring at a WWE event was at the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington, and I was there sitting in row 25. I'll never forget. Right? Booker T and Buff Bagwell and Stone Cold and Kurt Angle came out, beat their ass, and threw them out the damn Tacoma Dome. I was there. Right? So, but I want to go to it because a situation happened. A situation happened with Hulk Hogan a couple years ago. And what happened with Hollywood Hulk Hogan was some phone calls, some recorded phone calls were leaked of him saying very unfavorable comments about a particular so-called black man and using the N-word, right? This happened. And the great irony in all this is this, that Booker T, I mean, one of the most famous things he's ever said was, Hulk Hogan, I'm coming for you, nigga. And then 20 years later, Hulk Hogan gets blackballed from the wrestling industry for getting found to be, for using the word, but not nigga, of course, not in that context, nigger, in a very racist and degrading context. And then Booker T jumps up to his defense, as we're going to see. I want to read this statement that he makes. Here's some things that he said. He said, the only thing Hulk Hogan can do is apologize, atone for it, and we move forward. I mean, how does he atone for it? That's the question. You say all you got to do is atone for it. What is the mechanism that you suggest he atones for it by? That's what I'd like to know. Giving black people money? I mean, what? How does he atone for this? And the crazy thing is, this is what everybody said. All the black kids had the Hulk Hogan action figure in the 80s. You know, I was born in 1990, so I don't know. Hogan was cool, but I grew up in the era of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Goldberg and shit like that. So, like, Austin and Rock were the Hogans of our generation. You see what I'm saying? He says, you know, everyone deserves a second chance. That's just the way I am. I talk about Hulk Hogan being in my corner, you know, back in the day. A lot of the boys may look at me and say, what is Booker T talking about? Back in the day, if it wasn't for Hogan, I don't know if Booker T and Stevie Ray would have gotten the push that we got, the Harlem Heat. He said, back in the day, Sister Sherry was an intricate detail. She was an intricate part of Harlem Heat and our success. She was the girl that was standing next to him when he said, Hulk Hogan, I'm coming for you, nigga. And it was all because of Hulk Hogan saying, hey, man, those are the guys you need to put your money behind. I don't know if Hulk Hogan made some money off that deal or not. I'm not going to take that away from him. I'm not going to sit back here and say, no, he should be blackballed, blacklisted from the game forevermore for saying something that a lot of us say on a daily basis. I don't myself, but a lot of us do. See, that's where he really lost me. But Hogan, so he's doing this. His justification for standing in Hogan's corner is the fact that Hogan made the statement, those are the guys that you need to put your money behind. As if that's looking out for you. And I guess to a degree it is, because it ultimately helped you in your career and helped you to come into WCW, do what you did, and, you know, later had WWE fame and be where you are now as an announcer, a Hall of Famer, and a promoter in your own right. But a white man looking at a black man and saying, put your money behind him, does not mean he was in your corner. It does not mean you had your back. It means he saw money in you. Donald Sterling had a team full of 15 black men, known as the Los Angeles Clippers. He saw the money in 15 black men. Period. professional wrestling has historically been dominated by white people, by white men, due to the fact that white men are the promoters who have the money, who put on the shows and predetermine the matches and pick whoever they want. But you have to have some diversity there. You have to have black faces there because you want black people's money. Period. So that's all that was. That wasn't Hogan being in your corner. That was Hogan seeing the God-given talent and the hard work and determination and work ethic that had been instilled in y'all and your upbringing in Houston, Texas, and him seeing that it was worth money. What happened there? So that wasn't him being in your corner, bro. Then you make the statement. For something a lot of us say on a daily basis, I don't myself, but a lot of us do. A lot of us do. Okay. So again, context. Context. In what context did he say that? He said that to degrade, to devalue, to belittle a black man. A black man that attempted to help his talentless daughter. And oh, what? He screwed you and your daughter over? Got you for some money? Well, guess what? Welcome to the black experience. An experience that an entire collective has been experiencing for half a millennia. And you thought that gave you justification to belittle that man by using a racial epithet? That all these crackers use behind closed doors. And yes, I just used a racial epithet because I don't care. I am unapologetically racist. Unlike a lot of these sugarcoaters. Right? So, that's bullshit, book. And you know it's bullshit. We use it as attempting to use it as a term of endearment. And it was something that was called all the way back to Acts 13th chapter, but that's another story. We use it as a term of endearment towards one another. They use it as term of an anti-endearment, of a belittling, of denigration. That's what they use it for. And you know that. So that's a bullshit excuse and reason. As a self-respecting black man, book, that's bullshit. You know it, I know it, Stevie Ray know it, Charmel know it. Moving on. What else he said? He said, so I say, let this man who has done so much for the wrestling business truly take his rightful place. And that's back in the WWE. Here's the problem, too. It's been so much. I'm just happy Hulk, who was the biggest nigga ever, arguably, outside of Rock and Austin, in wrestling, to get blackballed and treated the way he did. I feel great about that. And the reason why I feel great about that is because nothing but goddamn racists have run and been praised in that wrestling industry. Nothing but them. A lot of niggas love Ric Flair. Niggas take Ric Flair interviews and put them on interludes and intros for their albums and their mixtapes. And they love Ric Flair, woo Ric Flair like Cam and Votto did on their mixtape. Ric Flair was a vehement racist, man. Teddy Long, a man who I respect, a man who I know personally, a man who, when I was getting involved with the wrestling business, not as a competitor but as a promoter, took me in under his wing on a promotional tip. He said verbatim that Ric Flair called him a nigger backstage. No one gives a damn about that. No one says anything. Ric Flair gets praised, talked about one of the greatest. To hell with him. To hell with his ugly ass daughter. I don't care. That's me. Right? Other ones, renowned. And that's the thing. You had dudes like Dusty Rhodes, who was like, instead of hiring a black dude, I'll just talk like a black dude. He did a whole black caricature and when he was announcing, right? And now his son, one of his sons is married to a black girl. The other son is a cross-dresser, right? Great. But there's been countless examples of racism running rampant in professional wrestling business. It's not a secret. Ahmed Johnson, when he won the Intercontinental Championship, came outside to his car in the parking lot, and nigger was carved in there. That's a fact, right? But guess what? You had down south good old boy promotions like WCW that put their world championship on Ron Simmons, a black man, far before WWE ever put their championship on a black man, which the first one they ever did was The Rock. You see what I'm saying? So, but for you to make excuses like that, and you know this industry is full of racism, fervent, rampant, covert, and overt racism. For you to make excuses like that is absolutely ridiculous. And you as a leader, as a veteran, as a Hall of Famer, as somebody who's decorated and all of that, you should have took that stand in that instance. You should have most certainly took a stand and said, nah, fuck Hulk. We don't want him back. And if y'all niggas let him back, I'm out. Period. That's what you should have done, in my opinion. But my opinion is just my opinion, right? But here's the thing about the wrestling business. I was involved in the wrestling business for about 6 months, right? Again, not in the space of a competitor, but rather as a promoter. It was a failed project. I lost a lot of money on, but I tried it. And an individual who was, once it failed. When I say failed, I mean failed as if like I mean everything went cool up until the time when the event was supposed to take place, and it didn't end up taking place due to a significant financial setback. Anyway, basically I couldn't pay the competitors. So, because tickets didn't sell. And why the tickets not sell? Because people didn't want to come and see an all-black show or a predominantly black show. We had a couple white dudes, a couple Samoans, a couple Hispanics on there as well, but nobody wanted to come see a predominantly black show. And people were calling, behind closed doors. The show that I was doing was being called The Black Show. Oh, this is The Black Show. Why can't it? Well, why it got to be The Black Show? Why can't it be a show? You see, but race is clearly a factor in this industry, hands down. And it's cool. Like, you got a lot of brothers now whom I know, and I met that day because I flew them in to compete, and unfortunately didn't have the money to see them compete and pay for them to compete. But I've seen them compete, and know the high level that they compete at. And I know that they're being accepted in certain circles, but only when it's just you, or it's just a couple of us that they're allowing in the door on that level. And shout out to those brothers, but they know what time it is. And I tried to create a space where they didn't have to walk on eggshells, where they didn't have to be put on white face, figuratively, not paint their face white, but pretend to be a white person in order to do what they had to do in business. I try to create a relaxed environment where black men can come and be themselves and compete and do what they do better than anybody else in the world, and showcase that and bring to the people a black owned and black ran and blackity black product. Unfortunately, due to various things, I'm not just going to put it on people just didn't also want to see a black show. There probably is other things that I could have done in order to have increased interest, and there was interest, but just location and things like that, like it just didn't work out. Even the location I picked to do it in a black neighborhood. People were afraid to go to that neighborhood to go to the venue. Why were people afraid? Because of the reputation the neighborhood has. Yeah, it was on gangland and things of that nature, so people didn't want to go there. People were afraid to go there, even though the location that I chose to have the event at was a location that the FBI chooses to go, when they want to have their regional conferences in the city of San Diego, they go to that venue. There were off-duty police officers as security guards and armed security guards in there. It truly was the safest venue in the city that I chose, but it just the neighborhood and all those black people and the Lincoln Park Bloods, they're just so frightening. So people didn't want to go. So it was a multitude of factors that factored in, but ultimately the principal and overlying factor was the non-belief in the black show. And that made me loathe the industry. In addition to so many more reasons that you should hate the professional wrestling industry. But the racist factor is clearly there. So what happened was, and I've never spoke on this openly, publicly, but it's on me to do it for this, so I'm gonna do it. The overwhelming factor. Oh no. So what happened was this. It failed. Boom. I gotta break it to these niggas. Look, we ain't not gonna be able to do a show because I don't have no money to pay you. I put a lot of you niggas up in hotels. I flew a lot of you niggas out here though, and that's where the fuck the money went. Quite frankly, not like I'm rich. I grinded hard to get the money that I had to get to that point, and it was all on hopes that enough people were gonna show up to where we were gonna be able to pay everybody. And even if I didn't make no money, we at least would have been able to pay everybody and capture this on video, that I'll be able to make money off the video. And the word was going to spread on how great the show was, to where by the next time we come to do this again, the ticket sales were going to be up to par ahead of time, and I was going to make money later, right? But no money was made. Cool. So, you know, I'm not going to name names, but there were individuals there. I mean, you look at the flyer, that's the niggas that was there. So, and people who know, I'm not going to put the flyer out, but anybody who's familiar with this or is listening now, nigga, you know what time it is. So anyway, boom. So what happens is, boom, there's kind of like one of the main individuals that I was close with, who, you know, was a prominent figure. You've seen him on your television screen several times in a professional wrestling capacity. He's like, all right, boom. You know what? My man dropped the ball. If anybody got any grievances that they like to air, anything they want to say, just say it now. So a particular brother who I see on TV all the time now, he just kind of started getting on TV around that time, and, you know, shout out to him, success to him. You know, he looked around and he said, we know what type of bullshit and how fucked up this industry is, and we're changing it now. But we know the bullshit that this shit comes from. And what was he referring to? Racism. And everybody black and Hispanic in the room, which is predominant in the room, is shaking their head like, yeah, this industry is bullshit. You know, but we liked it, and we were fanboys of it when we were kids, and we wanted to get into it. You know what I mean? But they love it. And I had a certain element of love for it as well that I lost after this experience because of how much the odds were stacked against us. But, you know, he's like, it was bullshit, you know, and people were talking about how different, you know, what I was trying to do, and people were like, bro, we came here because we believed in your vision. We turned down other money because we came here and we believed in your vision. You understand what I'm saying? And because the vision was so different. But why was it so different? It just was black people. It's the same wrestling, just black faces, predominantly black faces. You see what I'm saying? So that's the culture of racism that is intertwined into the wrestling industry. And I'm going to other events because, you know, I'm doing just what I'm doing. I'm getting into promotion, so I'm going to other events to promote, meet guys, things of that nature. And I'm seeing these dudes, like, there's a meme that was going around for a while. It was like, it said, me when I get off work, and it was a black lady unzipping. It looked like a white woman, but she was unzipping. You were seeing it was a black woman behind it. So basically, like, you put on this white facade when you're in a professional capacity, but that's not who you are. So, which I've always seen people do it. And anytime I've been in a professional capacity, I can be a diet version of myself, and I understand that certain phraseology and certain mannerisms aren't professionally appropriate, but I'm never not myself. Ever. I see brothers in any professional capacity do that, not be themselves. And I saw that in wrestling. And that was an industry that I was pushed to, I was encouraged to get involved with, and part of what I wanted to bring to it was an element or a venue or arena where you wouldn't have to be like that. You could be you. You don't have to put that facade on. This is by us for us. When these crackers come in here, they gotta put that facade on. They gotta act cool. They gotta do their little reverse racism and shit. You see what I'm saying? Why do they gotta do that? Nigga, because we running this shit here. And we got more talent than all you motherfuckers. Period. Right? So I say all that to say, Booker T, that's bullshit. That you gonna sit there and co-sign that motherfucker coming back and stand up for him and speak out for that motherfucker because you know how racist this goddamn industry is. And you, of all people, shouldn't be for that. By no means. I don't give a damn what Hogan done did for the business, personally. Okay? Because he's one of the worst. As much charisma as he has, as much merch as he moved, nigga, we all know he was one of the worst competitors to ever step in that square circle. We all know he couldn't do a Harlem Hangover, nigga. We all know it. So stop it. It's ridiculous. And on top of that too, and I don't even want to get into it. I'm not going to get too deep in the wrestling. I'm going to move the hell on. Because there's something that I'm enthusiastic about. I'm extremely enthusiastic about. I'm extremely excited about. That I'd like to move on to next. Right? And that's a show on the CW called Black Lightning. This black superhero stuff is really working. And it's putting the white superheroes to shame, quite frankly. Could I be saying that out of bias? Who knows? Who gives a damn? Fuck it. But Black Lightning, it comes on the CW. I've been seeing it. I've been interested in it. But quite frankly, watching shows on TV as they air on a weekly basis is not something that I am. It's not a practice that I have unless I'm really into the show. For many reasons. Number one, the time consumption that it takes to be somewhere at 8 o'clock and watch this show every week on this day at 8 o'clock. I mean, that in and of itself is just unrealistic to my lifestyle. One. In addition to that, the anticipation of the cliffhanger endings is something that I just don't want to subjugate myself to. And anytime I have the power to, kind of go around that, I'm going to. So I'd rather binge watch seasons. Especially, with all this stuff and either messing with the bootleg sites or Netflix or, whatever. So I never really got into it. I waited though, and then I didn't even wait. I never got into it. It piqued my interest. I love the art. I love the get up that Black Lightning was in. And I liked that there was a black superhero show, of course. Especially with Black Panther coming out and having as much success as it had. It really opens the door, and there's so many other black superheroes that could be explored and could get TV shows and cartoons and movies. That I'm glad that door was opened. Just for the sake of us being able to have our own stuff, have our own TV show that we watch of our own black superhero or black superhero movies and cartoons for the kids and things like that. Like, it's important. Like, I seen the Killmonger doll the other day in Walmart. I don't know if I talked about this before, but I seen the Killmonger doll the other day in Walmart. I grabbed that motherfucker. Period. My kids gonna have this. It's important. Especially Killmonger. I know Black Panther is the one that's depicted as a hero, but we know the true hero to our people is Killmonger. 144,000 Killmongers subscribe to that channel. Anyway, so yeah, boom. I logs on Netflix, and this I've been complaining for months about the lack of content on Netflix, and then Netflix just start coming with all kind of stuff, and a lot of good black content as well. And then boom, I see it. Black Lightning, cool. Whole first season, great. I'm gonna start it. I've now watched the whole first season pretty much twice. Only thing I didn't see the second time was the finale, because I had an impromptu trip to San Diego this last week, and I put Sergeant Shamar up on it, and we just sat up in the crib and watched binged the whole season last Friday. But I watched it, man, and I love that show. That's one of the greatest shows on television, if you ask me, bar none. Hands down, one of the greatest shows on television. It's what I love about it so much. One of the things I love about it so much. The only thing I really dislike about it is, and now spoiler alert. Well, not too big of a spoiler, but his older daughter, the beautiful Nefessa Williams. You've seen her probably in several Netflix smaller kind of B movies. The beautiful sister Nefessa Williams is a lesbian in the show, and that's something, of course, that I'm sternly object to. It's kind of like the only, kind of backdraw the show. Outside of that, we see a black family, black father, black mother, black daughters, the other daughters dating a brother. You see what I'm saying? They're not showing interracial dating. They're not, you know what I mean? Boom. But then they show lesbianism. So, and then she gets like an Asian love interest. So then like that's the pitfall. But, the only good thing is it's not really amplified. It's shown in the show, especially earlier on in the show, but definitely like the second half of the first season, it's not even really a factor. Like you almost forget about it. So I have to bring it out though, because that's really the only thing that I find truly objectable in the show. Outside of that, I like the show a lot. I like the show a lot. And something I really love about it is it's like a blaxploitation film. And anybody who know me know I love blaxploitation films. Like that's my favorite shit in the world. Okay, for those of y'all that don't know what blaxploitation films is, that's the Mac and all that, all them black movies, Black Caesar, Cotton Goes to Harlem, Sugar Hill. You understand what I'm saying? Blackula. Those is my joints. The Black Gestapo. Those is my joints. Period. Another thing that is reminiscent of my childhood and my pops put me on, something that his pops put him on back in day. You know what I mean? So most of the movies were made in the 70s, Mario and people, stuff like that. Powerful work. I love it, and I really think more like they did Superfly. Future redoing Superfly. Superfly was, of course, would be considered a blaxploitation movie, but it's like a lot of modern movies they're not putting in the vein of blaxploitation, though they might be. But then again, certain films aren't having the necessary blaxploitation themes or tropes that they should. Black Lightning does. What does Black Lightning have? Black Lightning has this great white man conspiracy in it, which is true because, of course, the white man is perpetually conspiring against us, as God's chosen people, as his evil fraternal twin brother, the nation of Israel. The Edomites are conspiring against us pursuant to Psalms the 83rd chapter. Anyway, so now, spoiler alert, you got a city, a black city, that a little known about government agency runs rogue operations of psyops, planting drugs in the community, kidnapping people, increasing crime, making people docile. All of those things are basically, they're experimenting on the hood, and Black Lightning is fighting the shadow group of rogue government agents that is using our hoods as guinea pigs. And that's one of the tropes of Black Lightning, and that is a classic cliche blaxploitation trope. And that's one of the cliches that's not bad, not negative at all. It's a great cliche, a great trope, and we should be seeing more of it, quite frankly, because it keeps our eye on the real enemy, on the devil, versus a lot of these movies that miss that trope, that just continually having us fighting each other, when the real enemy is being overwhelmingly and ever-presently identified in the white man, in the rogue government agent. You see what I'm saying? So that's great. It's got a lot of beautiful sisters in the cast, which I love. You got a strong, alpha, masculine, intelligent, athletic, qualified, and able black man as the lead, who's a loving father, who's a loving husband to a woman that divorced him because he dedicated his life to saving the hood, but still goes out of his way to try to rekindle that flame. Right? Beautiful. The principal of a local high school that he went to, that he keeps gangs and drugs out of to the best of his abilities, a college-educated brother who went on to win Olympic gold medals. I mean, the role model there, it's almost like, of course I'm mad at how they did Bill Cosby, that is, but go have your kids watch this, because he's supplementing that. But of course they put in some poison though with the lesbian daughter. Don't get it twisted. There's some poison there. But the power that they showing that black man have, and the positivity that is around whom he is so important and impactful, and our people need to see that image and get more images like it presented to them and ingrained into their psyches. Because it very well could be a part of change-provoking programming, quite frankly. I don't even know how these crackers let that hit the air, that this black man is so positive. He's such a husband, he's such a father, and he's such a hero, and he's so educated, and he's so athletic, and he's so accomplished. I don't even know how the hell they let that happen. But they did. And it's great, and I love it. God damn it, go watch it. Another show I watch, which there's a few shows like I just was talking about earlier. I don't really, it's rare that I really watch a show weekly on this network or just weekly in general. But there's a couple shows that that's true of. The shows that that's true of is principally Power, which I can't wait, getting ready to come back. Can't wait for Power to come back. Power is something I'm going to watch every week. I got to watch every week. I mean, I don't even know what to do. You know, just this whole year off of Power is just so, it's so hard. It's torture, right? Scandal is another one I watched, and I kind of fell off of watching it. That and How to Get Away with Murder. I began to watch those on a weekly basis just these last seasons. I fell off, so I did about probably 8 to 10 episodes before I fell off, and now I was able to go back and binge them now that they're over. Man, I'll start with Scandal, because Scandal's over as a show in it. Again, spoiler alerts. It's over now as a show. The series is over, and I believe it ended on a good note. It ended properly. No cliffhanger. No, it's not coming back. It ended. Everybody sailed off into the sunset. Great. Scandal. Okay. Everybody knows Scandal, of course, gets a understandable and rightful bad rap for its promotion of the interracial white man and black bed wench relationship between Olivia Pope and President Fitzgerald Graham. That's why I stopped watching it. I began to watch Scandal when it first came out. I remember it was the first season. It had aired on Netflix, and me and Captain Taz and Ma for the camp, we binged that whole first season probably. This is when I had a crib in Mira Mesa. This was 2013. We binged that whole first season. Or not even probably that whole first season, but probably at least 2/3 of that whole, probably like the first 18, 20 episodes. I believe the first season was like 24 episodes though. And I kind of didn't go back to it. And the reason that I didn't go back to it is I loved the show. But, you know, they had certain themes, but of course that interracial white man and black bed wench relationship being shoved down people's throats was a turnoff. So I kind of stopped watching it for years. Then last year, you know, the wife, you know, we binge watch stuff is what we do. So she's like, you know what, let's I never seen Scandal, let's watch Scandal. So I said, you know what, all right, cool, because I left off in the first season, so I'll let you catch up to where I was at, and then we'll watch it together from there. Whatever, we done damn near watch everything on Netflix, gotta watch something is what we do. So after a while, you know, you get to a point where she's not even dealing with the devil no more. Which she goes back to him at different periods, but there's a point where they are never in a serious relationship again, and it would just be like sporadic flings. So there'll be episodes and episodes, damn near half a season, where they're not dealing with each other. But then she also has another white love interest, but then she also gains a Hispanic interest and a black love interest or two. So, you know, it is what it is. But once I started to watch it and I got to where a certain character was introduced, and the character I'm referring to is her father, Rowan or Elijah Pope, aka Command, right? This marvelous black man, Command, I mean, he is so powerful, and that is what hooked me into the show and really got me back into it and made me passionate about continually following it and watching it and caring about where it progressed to, because of the father-daughter relationship of Olivia and her pops, Olivia and Elijah Pope. It's truly amazing. We have a black man who is the head of a secret government organization that is truly the puppet masters of the United States of America's government and global governments, right? That nobody knows about. And it was, and that hooked me in. the organization known as B613 is crazy because it's 613, 613 Law, Statute, Commandments. Also, the 613 album done by Deacon Chicago. Pick that up, DeaconSicari.com. Anyway, B613 that he held, that he ran, as powerful black man. And it's displaying how powerful he is and displaying how can't nobody fuck with him, and he kills the president's kids and can't nobody do shit about it, and Olivia just gotta live with it, and he just wants his daughter. He just wants to sit down on Sunday and drink wine and eat dinner with his daughter. That's it, and he'll kill anybody for the ability to do it. And that right there, that black father with power and with wit and with intelligence, that man right there, he hooked me into that show, and the dynamic of him and his daughter and their relationship, that complicated relationship. That hooked me into that show, and that makes that show worth watching every episode of it to see what's going to happen and how Rowan is going to pop his hand into a global situation or whatever Olivia's got going on. Amazing. Right? So, again, spoiler alert now. It's powerful because at the end of the show basically ends with this is all I'm thinking. Olivia and all her colleagues are in a damn near, including the damn ex-president and his wife, which is the new goddamn president, are in a position that they just can't get out of. It's just no way. They're coming up on congressional hearings that will most certainly get them thrown in prison for life for treason. Probably, really, they should have got thrown in goddamn Guantanamo Bay for the things that they had admitted to do. But here comes, I said the black man is God. That's the theme that is projected, if you really are paying attention, is that the black man is God. And here this black man walks into that congressional hearings and says, nigga, I created B613. I'm running this whole shit. And guess what? And this black man, he says it straight up, this black man has been running your goddamn government behind all of your lily white noses, and you niggas can't do nothing about it. And I know it's shocking that I've outsmarted you and I've controlled all of this shit. And this is what we're going to do. And he tells them what they're going to do, and they do it. They execute the plan, and everybody's able to ride off into the sunset, except for one of Olivia's white lovers who had to go to prison for life, which is fucking great. Rot in jail, you devil. I don't give a damn. But it showed, and he was clearly displaying his racism for white people throughout the damn show, which is great. It's showing the bias and you know, the systemic racism that had been ingrained into the country, etc., all throughout the show. So it was fucking great. And that's what I loved about the show Scandal, and that's why I was satisfied with the way it ended. Right? To the other show, How to Get Away with Murder. Of course, the main character, the sister in How to Get Away with Murder, she was married to a white man who she conspired to murder. Fucking great. Amazing. Love it. That's the first season. They just finished, I believe, the 5th season. Then you had a sister, one of her underlings, who had got with a white boy, and guess what? In the crossover episode, when Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder crossed over, she let the brother who's down with Olivia hit it, and it broke up that happy home. Typically, of course, I'm not for adultery and creeping and things of that nature, people cheating on people, but I'm just glad that that union is broken up so we don't have to see it anymore at the show. He's pretty fervent about that, and she was just so into that black man, and that was important and powerful, that she was just so intoxicated by the brother, but that she gave it up to him. But of course, I don't promote cheating. Sisters that are in interracial relationships with white men or any men that aren't black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, don't cheat. Just leave, escape it, and come home to your nation, to your people, the 12 tribes of Israel. Anyway, so boom, this season, How to Get Away with Murder is always a topsy-turvy roller coaster. I would say it's probably the biggest roller coaster show next to Power that I really watch. Power racks my goddamn nerves, especially last season. Last season was racking my goddamn nerves, and the season before last. Because last season was the season where he spent predominantly in jail. The season leading up to him going to jail too racked my goddamn nerves on astronomical levels. I mean, crazy. But How to Get Away with Murder, man, it was crazy, bro. Like, it was a lot of ups and downs, but ultimately, I was pleased with the outcome. She was able to get her class action lawsuit that she's basically showing the racial bias of the public defender's offices and how underfunded and underqualified they are to represent clients, and how many innocent black and Hispanic men are locked up in jail as a result of inadequate public defense. All right, so that was great. And only because I'm not fresh on it, because it's been a couple weeks since I watched it. But overall, I was well pleased with the outcome of How to Get Away with Murder, for sure. So with that, I ain't gonna keep up no more time. I believe I got everything off my chest. So stay tuned for more episodes, as well as the next edition of Beige Rage as well. So with that, again, I give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and I say shalom.